Look, it's now 5:09, Graeme. You just hold yourself there. We've got something very, very special happening right now. Graeme, stand by. And the Oracle has made his way into the studio.
G'day, Graeme, I'm here for a reason. A very special reason. It gives me a great pleasure in saying to you that Graeme Hughes, this is your life.
Oh, what a stitch-up.
All right, here we go.
You were born Graeme Christopher Hughes on the 6th of December, 1955 at Lewisham. And Graeme, your parents, Pat and Noel, had early concerns for you as a baby when doctors diagnosed you as being born with one blue and one white eye. Your parents were informed that this condition would never resolve itself. Graeme, as a young boy going to school at St John's, Lakemba, you were very talented. Your biggest dilemma was whether you would focus your sporting career on cricket or rugby league. You couldn't decide, so you chose both. Graeme, it was the summer of 71-72 when you made your first grade debut for Petersham, and you played alongside your father, Noel. Graeme, tell us, what was it like to play alongside your father, Noel?
It was unbelievable, Alan. Quite unbelievable. 16 years of age, and I actually, in my first game, got to bat with him. And to this day, I'll probably argue with Dad that I could have made the single, but I got run out.
Hey, Nolly.
Well, Graeme, having made your debut at the tender age of just 16, the runs for you kept flowing. You still hadn't shaved, yet you were destroying attacks all over Sydney, facing men 10 to 15 years your senior. Neil Harvey, the great Australian batsman, described you in 1974 as a left-handed thrashing machine in the mould of Graham Pollock. But Graeme, rugby league was your other great love, and you joined Canterbury also as a teenager, witnessing firsthand the 1974 grand final where Eastern Suburbs crushed the Berries 19 points to 4. Graeme, what were your memories of that particular day?
I remember that Arthur Beetson was the difference between the two sides. There wasn't a great deal of it, a young team. And I remember it was a game the Bulldogs could have possibly won had they made some changes during the game, but wasn't meant to be. It was a great Roosters outfit.
Graeme, the year 1975 was a massive year in your sporting career. You continued to juggle rugby league in the winter and cricket in the summer, but it was your league career that flourished first. Your form for Canterbury early in 1975 was simply outstanding, prompting the likes of Alan Clarkson, Ernie Christensen and Peter Frelingos to demand your inclusion in the New South Wales side to play Queensland later that year. And at just 19 years of age, you were chosen for the Blues and you played alongside some of your boyhood heroes. Graeme, tell us, what was it like to play alongside some of your boyhood heroes?
I remember going to training that week and shaking my head because you're standing there and the coach was Graham Langlands, the captain was Ron Coote, and to give some young guys in the game an opportunity in that, they picked two guys on the bench who I think it's a great trivia question that nobody can ever answer. The reserve players for that game were Bob McCarthy and Bob Fulton.
Really?
They were on the bench, 14 and 15.
Wow.
Graeme, the year is now 1976 and Canterbury came oh so close to winning the premiership. In fact, Canterbury games were a nightmare for commentators with a plethora of Hugheses. Yourself, Graeme, Gary Hughes, Mark Hughes, and there was one other Hughes.
Eric Hughes. Englishman, yeah.
Which meant that 31% of your first grade side had the surname Hughes. Graeme, in 76, the Berries had a great side. Bob McCarthy had just joined the club and was in rare form, yet it was an immortal that stood between you and a grand final berth against Parramatta. Talk us through it.
Yeah, we were flying home and we'd scored a couple of tries and we really looked as though we're finishing the stronger, but Manly had an opportunity getting late in the game and Bobby Fulton dashed into dummy half, broke out of there and just popped a field goal over, which in the end proved the difference. So it was bozo, as he often did in big games, to get Manly home.
Well, back to cricket, and by the age of...
Who organised this stitch-up?
Six stitcher.
At the age of just 22, you became the youngest sportsman in history to represent New South Wales at both cricket and at rugby league. Graeme, you faced some of the world's great fast bowlers, the likes of Dennis Lilly, Andy Roberts and Jeff Thomson, wearing just your baggy blue cap. Not a helmet, but a cap. Graeme, was there ever a time at the batting crease when you looked up and thought to yourself, oh shit, what am I doing here?
Yeah, there was. My first game in Sydney was against Dennis Lilly, but it was also a great memory because I got to bat with one of my heroes and who became a great friend, Dougie Walters. And I think I put on 96 with Doug on that day against Dennis Lilly, which was a great memory. But yeah, there was a day in 1975 at the Gabba. We played against Jeff Thomson on a green top, and we were rolled out for, I think we scored 74, New South Wales. And the first ball that Tomo bowled to me had me really fearing what was going to happen.
Well, Graeme, Canterbury returned, so they missed the semi-finals of 77, but for you it was another stellar season, culminating in your selection in the sexiest team of that year. Your teeth got you in. The Bulldogs did return to the finals of 78, and again your form was outstanding. Most league journos, including Frank Hyde, Reg Gasnier and Bill Morty, had you in their Kangaroo squad to tour England later that year. You were, though, a shock omission. Graeme, how did it feel to have one foot on the plane and then miss out?
It happened a couple of times, though, and in 78 was the first time I got picked in the Kangaroo training squad. And it was disappointing. But you wanted it to happen. It just wasn't going to. I think Manly put a great run in 1978 to take the title, and they dominated the Kangaroo and in spots that that probably clashed with me. The likes of Brucey Walker in the second row.
Well, the Kangaroos' loss was cricket's gain, as you again played for your state in the Sheffield Shield. But Graeme, it was the following year in 1980 where you achieved one of your great sporting. You played a decisive role, particularly in the final series, helping the Bulldogs win their first premiership in 38 years. Graeme, apart from today, was that the best moment of your sporting career?
It was certainly one of the great ones, and MG will tell you, all the guys that have played grand finals will tell you that when you do get to win one, it doesn't matter how long ago it was, it is so vivid. You can absolutely recall everything that happened that day, and it never leaves you.
Graeme, the Bulldogs struggled for the next 2 years, but your form never wavered. In 1982, another Kangaroo touring year, you were again spoken about as a possible tourist, yet once again you were overlooked. Graeme, you shocked the league world when at age just 27 you announced your retirement from rugby league. Graeme, I've got to ask you, why so young?
I was still contracted for another 2 years, but I tore my anterior cruciate ligament. And in those days, they were not doing the full knee reconstructions within 12 to 15 months. And I was told that if I came back, they couldn't guarantee that I could still do the things that I could do on the football field at that time. And I was away on an end-of-season holiday, and Channel 10 gained the television rights, and they rang me and asked if I'd start a television career. I waited up, and I was offered still to come back on the contract by the club, but I decided to go to television because I also decided that I wanted to go back and play some more cricket.
Well, your cricketing career continued, and again you blazed a heap of runs for Petersham, no pun of course intended. Unfortunately, though, it became common knowledge that your flamboyant style of batting didn't appeal to state selectors, particularly Bobby Simpson. Graeme, is that a fair comment?
Well, I'm not sure, you'd have to ask Bob that, but I had a very successful couple of seasons when I went back to cricket, and I was in the squad, but I couldn't break back into the team, no.
Well, Graeme, it was now around the mid-80s when your budding media career absolutely exploded. From a sideline eye, you soon became a co-commentator, and then in 1988, you were the voice of rugby league in this country. You also hitched a ride to Seoul for the Olympic Games that year, and Graeme, that must have been for you a real experience.
It was. I'll never forget it. I was actually hosting the Olympics from Seoul the day that, never forget it, the day that Ben Johnson was busted, and I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a media scrum like it.
Frenzy.
It was just unbelievable for him even trying to get to the airport to get out of the country.
Well, it is now 1992, the year after you said those now famous words. So they'll go from one sideline to the other. That's how quickly they adjusted.
Oh.
Bradley Clyde, inside and out. Who wants a try? Wood gets a double. Oh, classical. Graeme, your media career took you to New Zealand, where you spent a number of years calling the rugby league and also commentating on the cricket. But thankfully you returned to Australia, again taking a great interest in your beloved Bulldogs, but your dulcet tones were still missing from the radio and the TV. That ended in 2004 when Talking Sport was launched. The show is now in its third season and is going from strength to strength, particularly on Thursday. Graeme, it is now the year 2006 and all your listeners are hoping that the NRL wake up to themselves and hand 2SM the rights to call the Rugby League in 2007. Graeme, This Is Your Life wouldn't be complete without hearing at least one voice from your past. Graeme, does this voice you're about to hear ring a bell?
Graeme, does this part of your life? I've got to say it's the icing on the cake, and I reckon I've been able to lay it on pretty thick, Graeme. And I've got to say, if there was a couple of songs to describe you and the show, it's Lou Reed's "Satellite of Love" and Richard Clapton. This is the best years of our life, and I reckon you've changed a lot of people's lives, Graeme, that love sport, like people who are bright, intelligent, and witty, just like myself, who have flocked to your show. It's your Clydesdale-like way, that steady, steadfast, Graeme. And Tex has told me that the Queen is going to honour you for your longevity, Graeme. I've heard that. But then also, Graeme, you definitely are the winner, because you have learnt you can learn something new every time, as I've been able to bring to your show with the likes of Tronk and Cronk and Chalky, and of course Dean Witters and Ned Chatty can't go about saying, and Philly Jackwes, and of course Hussey, I was always pumping for him.
Yeah.
But thanks to be able to talk to the likes of the greats of Johnny Martin and Jeff Freeman, the late and great, both those blokes. But I think Richard Clapton has the last word. And don't waste time. These are the best years of our lives.
Oh.
But also, I've got to give you something for the 15 to 1. That's it. A Bibi Bakula, and also the master of the great game.
As per usual, he gets cut short, but that's...
I'd like to thank both Les and Percy.
Yeah.
That was Les, Graeme.
Yes.
So, Graeme, finally, mate, on behalf of all your adoring fans, the Talking Sport test side, your loving and patient wife, Narelle, your 3 devoted children, Natasha, Ethan and Rihanna, can I say just one more time, Graeme Hughes, this is your life.
Good on you.
Yeah. Very, very well done.
Well done. Just before you go, I know you get your 15 to 1. We'll talk about it in a tick. How long does it take you to put all that together?
I actually spoke to Graeme's brother, Gary. And actually, funny story, Gary actually told me the origins of your nickname, Heaps.
Yeah,
and I think that finally it's about time that the listeners out there...
Oh, don't do it.
Well, this is Gary's story.
Oh.
It's the summer of... it's actually the winter of 1963, Graeme. You were 8 years old, in first grade. You'd repeated kindergarten 3 times. And you're actually helping a girl with finger painting. Her name was, I think, Mary, she told me. Anyway, you're there helping her with finger painting, and she turned to you and she was so pleased it helped her. She looked at you and said, "Thanks, Heaps." And you went home and told your parents that because you had a crush on her, that you would like to be called Heaps. From now on.
Thanks, Heaps.
Yeah.
That's Gary's story.
Good on you.
All right, boys.
Very, very good.
A wonderful surprise. Thank you for doing that. Thanks very much.
Ski double up.